Hello YouTube, this is Ophiuchos, the Thunder Lizard, the reptilian human hybrid who has mastered his reptilian essence. And as you know, my job here is to reveal to you human beings how the reptilian agenda comes in to take over your world and to keep you enslaved. So today, I'm going to reveal to you the 3 steps that are necessary in order to create a false conspiracy theory. So, bear in mind that there are real conspiracies out there. There's no shortage of real conspiracies. And just because you say something is a conspiracy theory, it doesn't mean that it's wrong. I had this long discussion with one of my ex-students who didn't like that I was, revealing, false conspiracy theories. And she said, well, why do we have to use the word theory? And I said, well, theory doesn't mean anything. It just means it's a belief. So a theory can be true, it can be false, but it has to be proven before you can take the word theory out of it. But she didn't like that. She took that personally, because I was coming after her pet conspiracies. She didn't like that. So I'm going to tell you the 3 things that you need in order to create a popular false conspiracy. So there are 3 ingredients, and the ingredients are number 1. Hang on a second here. The ingredients are number 1, that you need to stoke the feelings of oppression. That's not hard to do. So there are organizations and governments and people and aspects of society that can easily be experienced as oppression on you. Slavery, racial oppression, religious oppression, sexual, gender, blah, blah, blah. There's no shortage of things that any one of us can choose to find reasons for feeling oppressed. So that's the first thing. You need to tap into people's existing feelings of oppression. Second thing is that you need to either create or stimulate an existing strong emotional attachment or reaction. And then the third thing you need is to have just enough facts to sound plausible. Because the thing about false conspiracy theories, the reason why they take on and become popular, isn't because people find out they're true or not. It's because it feels true. And then all people need is just enough plausible sounding, factual information. And it doesn't mean they have all the facts, but just enough facts to justify their feelings, and then they're convinced. The flat earth is one of my favorite ones. I've talked about that ad nauseum. I won't do that here. What I am going to do today is I'm going to use somebody's comment. And somebody who came on the channel and left a comment. Now, I don't know this person. I haven't seen this name before. I do sometimes click on people's names if you leave a comment, your YouTube channel is available. All you got to do is click on the person's name and you can go to their channel. And this one is rather suspicious because on my other channel there's all kinds of controversy going on over there, and there is somebody who is coming onto the channel pretending not to be a certain person and leaving all of this propaganda type of stuff on there, and it's become pretty clear that it's the original person who has a conflict with me that's pretending to be somebody else and trying to act like a supporter of that person. I have my suspicions about this person as well because it has the same last letter, the letter D, and click on the channel, there's nothing there. So there's no information, there's no videos. It looks like something somebody just threw up just so that they could comment. I could be wrong about that, but maybe it's because I'm a little paranoid right now. Being a good reptilian that I am, I don't trust anybody. Anyway, but what I'm here to do is show you this person. This person is actually laying the groundwork for a brilliant conspiracy theory, which of course is false. So this is in response to my recent video, The First Christians Did Not Worship Jesus of Nazareth, the Religion of Denial. And I go into long explanations of looking at history and looking at the forming of the New Testament and blah, blah, blah. But one of the biggest things that I talk about in my channel a lot, if you're not familiar with it, is that Jesus of Nazareth, according to the New Testament, could not have existed. It's impossible. The reason why it's impossible is because the Gospels were not written until something like 150 years after Jesus' supposed crucifixion. And those books all talk about a man named Jesus of Nazareth. And so those Gospels, as I said, were written long after his supposed death. And they were written when there was a town called Nazareth that existed. And the town of Nazareth was actually a haven for Essene extremists who were Gnostic, some of the first Christians. And we talk about a Christian doesn't necessarily mean somebody believed in Jesus. It just meant that they were worshiping the coming Messiah. And so the Greek word for Messiah is Christ. So that's all that it means. But point is that the town of Nazareth had not even been founded until long after Jesus' supposed crucifixion, and it happened to have been founded just before the, historically speaking, just before the Gospels had been written. And so when whoever was writing the Gospels, there was this town called Nazareth, which was a home to these very well-respected ascetic Jewish Messianics, Christians. So that's what I said. Bottom line is that Jesus of Nazareth could not have existed because Nazareth was not founded until long after Jesus' supposed death. There's a bunch of other reasons. I could go into all the other proofs that disprove him, but that to me is a linchpin. So now, if you are a Christian and you have a strong emotional attachment to the belief of Jesus, you're going to want to disprove that. It's going to be very hard to do, but it can be done. So I'm going to read this comment here, and then I'm going to share with you how it becomes the perfect, it has all the ingredients for a false conspiracy theory. So this person says, it would be interesting to find out if the founding date of Nazareth was propaganda to debunk the strength of a powerful new religion. Yahweh does not sound like it was a popular name. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I don't know. We're talking about Jesus. We're not talking about Yahweh. There is much more documentation of Yahweh than Kuan Yin. Yahweh is a deity. Kuan Yin is a mythical ascended human being. Totally different. I don't even know what this person is trying to say here. But this is where we get into it. Free will allows us to agree to disagree and be at peace. I do agree the Bible was written and edited by fallible humans. Now, so I go on to respond thinking that this is an honest statement, and I say to the individual, it doesn't work like that. It's not like there is a written date or plaque somewhere that says Nazareth, founded in AD 175. Like, you drive through towns now in, the United States, and you drive through a town, it'll say the town of Smorgasbord since, 1865, right? That's not what we've got here. So it's not like there's like this plaque and that it was a plaque that could have been falsified, as though somebody, later somehow could have falsified that and put that evidence there so that we could find it and go, oh, Nazareth didn't exist. There's no written evidence of Nazareth in any of the Old Testament. There's no written evidence of Nazareth in any other historical references, including the Roman historical references at that time. That's just another one. So it's not like somebody went back and then took out all of the references out of the history. You see what I mean? So obviously this person isn't thinking factually. This person, from what I can tell, doesn't seem to have an education on how, historical evaluation works. This person obviously has an emotional agenda to promote and to be given the right, as she says here, to have the freedom to believe what she wants. So the problem with that is that you have the freedom to believe in things that can't be proven. That's free will. You want to believe in life after death? Go for it. You don't want to believe in it? Go for it. You're free to believe or not believe, because it's not something that is factually important in three-dimensional reality. You want to believe in karma? Great. You don't believe in karma? Great. You believe in astrology? Great. You don't believe in it? Great. These things have nothing to do with three-dimensional reality. Whether or not this guy named Jesus actually existed is a fact that can be, and he either did or did not. Your desire to believe or disbelieve has no effect on the reality of whether or not the guy existed. See what I mean? So what's happening, obviously, this person was threatened by what I was saying and wants to come up with some cute way of giving herself the right to believe what she wants, and we can agree to disagree. But history doesn't work like that. It either did or it didn't happen. And if there is evidence available, you can research that evidence to find out the true or the falseness of it. Sometimes that's not possible to do. In this case, it is. So, I say, Connie, doesn't work like that. It's not like there's a written date or plaque that says Nazareth, founded AD 175. So there couldn't have been some conspiracy to create a false later founding of Nazareth. I understand what you're trying to say, but the objective evidence is clear that Nazareth did not exist during the supposed life of the Jesus of the New Testament. What is important is your emotional attachment to find ways to cling to your belief, even in the light of objective evidence to the contrary. You can choose to disagree and believe what you want, but the question is, do you want to know the truth more than your emotional attachment, or more than you want to hold on to your emotional attachment to the Jesus narrative? Now, I get cranky when I respond, I think, in a way that clearly states it out, shows maybe their flaw in their thinking. Bottom line is you can't just decide to believe or disbelieve about a fact. You don't have the right to do that. It either does or doesn't exist. She goes on to say, I believe that a person's belief is tied into free will. Your proof is probably true. I'm supporting freedom of choice. At this point, the absolute denial and the need to live in one's own narcissism makes me want to pull my non-existing hair out. It frustrates the crap out of me, because what she is saying is, I don't want to know what the truth is. I don't want to know how that truth affects my emotional state, my emotional reality. I want to hold on to my belief, even if it's impossible, even though it's a belief that has to be proven one way or another. And that drives me crazy. Willful ignorance. I have no empathy for that kind of person, because that's a person who is asking to be deceived, asking to be taken advantage of, because they're to look at this logically and then make a decision based on logical evidence would obviously be too threatening to her on an emotional level. And she doesn't want to feel the pain that she would have to feel by changing her belief in whether or not Jesus existed. Right? So I kind of lose it here and I say, what does that mean? Your free will to make choices has no impact on objective reality. You're not making any sense. My choice is not based on my free will to believe whatever I want. My belief is based on my attempt to research and discover the objective truth. You're double talking here to hide your seeming unwillingness to address your emotional attachment to your belief. Now, this person has created the perfect conspiracy theory if she wants. If you want to take it up and go on to YouTube or go on to Facebook and start to create this conspiracy, you have all the ingredients here. Number one, the feeling of being oppressed. Her main point is, if I disprove her belief, she feels like I'm taking away her freedom of choice. So now she feels oppressed. We could also say I am taking away her ability to have her emotional attachment to her unreasonable belief. Obviously, there's a strong connection to the Jesus narrative. Jesus is here to save you from your sins. Jesus is love. Jesus is forgiveness. So that creates a recipe for wanting to be attached to that belief. It's like a little kid believing in Santa Claus. There's a lot of emotional attachment to that. Somebody comes along and says, here's the proof that it's been your mom this whole time putting things into your stocking and putting things under the tree while you're asleep. Santa Claus doesn't exist. That little kid is going to go through some mourning and some pain and probably some denial. So we've got somebody here who's upset with me because I'm telling her that I'm proving to her that Santa Claus doesn't exist. So she says, don't tell me what I can and can't believe. This is freedom of choice. And she's presenting it in this very seemingly rational way, appealing to her freedom of choice and, in essence, making me an oppressor. Because if I don't give her the freedom of choice and say, oh yeah, no, you can believe whatever you want, then now I'm oppressing her. So she set that stage. That's going to be good because that's a good way to recruit people into your belief. So you start by saying, there are people out there trying to take away your freedom of belief in religion. Religion is something we all have the right to believe whatever we want. This guy's coming up here and he's taking away your freedom to believe. So we've got the first ingredient. Second ingredient, strong emotional attachment. The belief in Santa Claus and somebody saying, Santa Claus, the person who's coming and giving you free gifts and putting candy in your stocking and all that kind of stuff, this guy never existed. So sorry, you've loved him all of these years. You've been writing him letters and praying to Santa. There was nobody there. It's a waste of time. So now the emotional attachment is really being stimulated. Third, just enough facts to sound plausible. And here we have, this is where a lack of critical thinking comes in. This is where a lack of education comes in. And this person is exhibiting both of those things. And it would very well fall very well on ears of people who are also uneducated and lack critical thinking, who share those same emotional attachments. Because all you have to say is, well, they're out there saying that Nazareth didn't exist, and they're using evidence, historical evidence, the lack of this and the lack of that. But what if, as she says so eloquently, what if the founding date of Nazareth was propaganda, was falsified to debunk the strength of a powerful new religion? And don't take away my freedom. You see it? This is a perfect, here, I've just handed it to you. If you want to, you can give it to Christians. They will love it. They will say, yes, this is propaganda, false propaganda to debunk the power of Jesus. Satan and liberals and pagans are out to destroy Jesus because they know if they do, they'll have to repent, and he will convict them of their sin, and they'll have to stop their evil ways. And what have they done? They have created this false propaganda about the founding of Nazareth. Oh, it's so flimsy. And again, she uses, like I said, she's trying to appeal to my, my syncretism, where she says Yahweh does not sound like it was a popular name. Again, I don't know what the hell that means. There is much more documentation of Yahweh than Kuan Yin. Again, we're throwing in religious this and religious that to confuse and cloud the issue. So she comes back after I say, you can choose to disagree and believe what you want, but the question is, do you want to know the truth? And the objective evidence is clear. It's not up to you to choose. Your belief of whether or not he actually existed has no impact on whether he actually existed. There's an internal reality and there's an external reality. The external reality is things like, is the world flat or round? It's got to be one or the other. Is there karma or not? That's an internal reality. You have the freedom to believe that. Is there life after death? That's an internal reality. You can't prove it. It's up to you to decide how you want to believe. Does it help your life? Did Jesus of Nazareth exist at this date, in this place, in this time? He either did or he didn't. It's not up to you. Your freedom of choice has nothing to do with that. But she goes on to say after that, and she says, or was that it? No, that was it. I had the last word so far. Anyway, so that's what it is, guys. So let's talk about critical thinking. Critical thinking starts with the belief this person is not starting from. Critical thinking means the ability to know information as it comes to you and to determine whether or not it's true or not. To determine whether or not the person giving you the information is reasoned things out and is looking at objective reality. I guess let me just complain more about my pet peeve about this. It really does. It really drives me crazy when I see people who are wrapped up in their own narcissism and their own feelings are what's most important. And they're not willing, they don't have the bravery and the willingness to drop any emotional attachment in favor of the truth. And this is something that I've seen that has become more and more prevalent over time, starting with the advent of the internet. Once the internet came into existence, and then you had, now we've got a couple different generations of people who have grown up with the internet from birth or from a very young age. So their entire experience of the world is very strongly associated with this nebulous internet that isn't real. You can look me in the face and see me, but you can't touch me. There's no real connection here. And so people are getting everything online, which is, I have nothing against the internet. Trust me, I'm very happy the internet's here. I'm just saying, it's created a couple generations of people who can't tell the difference between their own internal reality, which would be the internet, and the actual objective reality outside of the internet. They can't tell the difference. And so everything is arbitrary. And so they have the right to believe or disbelieve whatever they want, because you can find whatever you want on the internet, on YouTube. Whatever it is you want to believe, you can find. You don't have to actually go and study something or research something. Nowadays, research means you watch a bunch of videos that happen to be part of your echo chamber telling you what you want to hear. And there's magical thinking to my feeling. There's magical thinking to it. When I was a Christian, I was a born-again Christian, and I would go out and preach on the street, we honestly believed that if we quoted the Bible enough, the power within the words of God would actually seep into people and change them. So that's why Christians are constantly quoting the Bible, because they believe the more that they keep reading the Bible, the more that they keep saying, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believeth in him would have eternal life and not perish." If they keep repeating that over and over again, they honestly believe that is going to magically go in and you're going to see the light. that is representative of, I have a really strong feeling. I know this to be true. Now, you've heard Archives, the guy that was on here a while. I don't know if he's still around, who used to want to get in fights with me. And he would say, as he's arguing with me and telling me, just irrationally his thoughts and his beliefs, he would say, I know you can feel what I'm saying. You can feel it in your chest. That's him projecting onto me his experience, that his feelings are really intense, therefore they must be true. When I was a kid, like in high school, and I was in love with a girl, you get so wrapped up in your own feelings that you just assume because you're so in love with them that they must love you back. And it's so shocking when you go to ask them out and they go, no, you're not my type. And you're like, what? But I'm in love with you. You have to feel it. You can feel it, right? No, they can't feel it. That's all you. It's your own narcissism. So part of being mature is knowing the difference between your own narcissistic experience and actual reality. There has been a few different times in my life when, again, talking about women, trying to date women or connecting with women and being just really, horrifically like betrayed or something like that. And more than once, there's been this experience of, I just have to live my truth. And my truth is that I need to lie to you and sleep with your brother or something like that. It's that my own narcissistic experience of myself. My simple truth is that I want to steal from you. You know what I mean? It's just very childish. That's exactly what's happening here. It's exactly what's happening. This individual wants to have the right to believe whatever she wants, regardless of the objective truth. So much so that when I give her the objective truth and, show her at least as best as I can, show her the faults in her thinking, she says, I believe that a person's belief is tied into free will. Try that with gravity. Try walking off the edge of the cliff and say, I have the free will to believe that I'm not going to fall. Try it. Tell me if it works. I'm willing to bet that there's a very good chance that if you did that, your belief, your freedom of will to believe that you can float would most likely not prevent you from falling to your death. Same is true about Jesus. Just because you want to believe it and you want to hold on to your right to have your free will to believe whatever the hell you want isn't going to change the reality. And again, why is this a big deal with Christianity? Because the whole point of Christianity is to smash over your head that it is the way, the truth, and the life. This literally happened. If you don't believe this literally, you will die and go to hell. All right. So I think I've beat that horse to death. Let's see. This is a question and answer, so feel free to ask questions if you want. I'm okay if you don't. Let's see. I'm going to just refresh the page, see how many people are here. So is that clear to you? Those are the three ingredients to create a false conspiracy. And you can look into any conspiracy and you will find these three ingredients. I should have put the fourth one, the childish need to believe in your own narcissistic truth. So first one is that there needs to be the feeling of being oppressed. So a victim mentality. Being able to tap into or create that feeling. In this case, she says, don't take away my freedom of will to believe what I want. She's oppressed if you take that away. Number two, there has to be, what did I say? There has to be a strong emotional attachment. And three, you have to have just enough facts to sound plausible. In this case, the historical date of Nazareth was changed in order to create false propaganda to take people away from the belief in this powerful new religion. That would be the way she would do it. All right, and then the fourth, what did I say? The need to live in your own narcissistic reality at the expense of objective truth. All right, let's see if there's any questions here. Riho Rasta, question: where is the navel center positioned precisely? At your navel, slightly below your navel. Okay, there you go. So your belly button, just a tad, just a little tiny bit below your belly button. You know, you don't have to get exact. Your belly button is fine. Riho Rasta, question: how do you use a megalithic medicine wheel made out of stone rocks? How do you use it? In whatever way you want. You know, just set it up and know where north and south and east and west is, and then if you want, you can sit there and do rituals in it and imagine yourself connecting to all the 9 worlds. You can put representations. I almost did this, you know, when I had a house like a permanent house that I quote owned when I was married. I was going to do this, and I was going to create, you know, a big thing with, you know, different stuff and statues and the whole thing. I was going to do all that. I haven't since found a permanent place where I could do that. So it's really up to you. You can sit in the middle of it, make it big enough, and do your rituals there. And you can, if you want, you can go and, you know, how you open up the circle. You can, you know, open up the circle. You can, you know, face each direction. And if you're using the stones, you know, meditate on bringing the power of that world into that stone. If there's a deity associated with those directions, you can do rituals to bring the deities, you know, just like lighting incense and fire and, you know, like candles and incense to wherever the stone is. So you can do, you know, just let your imagination go wild. Riho Rasta again, how do you shuffle rune cards and flip them 180 degrees in the process? Well, let's see. Where's my rune cards? I had them earlier. Oh, there they are. Where's my rune cards? This is how I shuffle them the same way that you would shuffle, you know, playing deck cards. So, right? That's what I do every time. I do it 3 times. So they'll get shuffled around. So just learn how to shuffle like you would shuffle deck cards. If you're not talking about cards and you're talking about runes, then you shake them up. Put them in like a box and shake them up, and then let them fall out. Yeah, sorry, Zach. Santa's not real. Sorry about that. Okay, so we don't have a whole lot of people. It's in the middle of the night everywhere in the world except here. So when there aren't any questions, I gotta sell you stuff. So for those of you, if you haven't heard, you're new to the channel, lockdown.thunderwizard.com. Go check out that website. I give away $3,214 worth of all of the teachings that I have and certifications that I have: Vedic astrology, rune reading, celestial qigong, the most powerful energy practice in my experience that you can learn through video. A bunch of my other teachings, I can't even name them all. Basically everything that's here at courses.thunderwizard.com, which is all of my stuff. Everything except for the few things that I don't have financial control over. I give it away for free. The only thing that you're paying for is 5 services from me that have to be done through Skype, so you pay me for my time. But other than that, you're getting $3,214 worth of stuff. So we're going to come to the end of the lockdown if we haven't already done so. It's coming pretty quick. So all of this stuff is going to go back to normal. So if you want, now's the time. Thunderwizard.com is the subscription site. That's the thing that pays my bills. And there's multiple subscription options. One is you get access to the Master Shamanism course, which is $25 a month, and you get access to things I don't teach on this channel. I get very specific and teach you very specific things about, like what has been asked, how to create a thunder wheel, how to use a medicine wheel, the 9 worlds and all that kind of stuff, rituals, energy work, runes, all that kind of stuff. And then you've got the Manifestation Mastery course, which is a higher level, which I give you very specific teachings and rituals and things to do to learn how to manifest your dreams and how you can take control over your reality. And then there's higher subscriptions that have to do with working with me personally. So you can go to thunderwizard.com for that. And of course, subscribe, hit the bell button. Courses.thunderwizard.com. You can see everything, including my books and DVDs. All right. Did another question come flying up here? Nope. No more questions. All right then. That's it. No questions. There's nothing for me to talk about. I think I've said everything I needed to say. I just wanted to check in with the channel and make sure that I'm still doing my job. I've got another channel that's starting to take off, which has to do with recovery from borderline personality disorder relationships. If you've ever had a relationship with a borderline, it's a really painful thing. So I've got a channel over there helping people to recover from being in one of those relationships. And that's it. All right. So I'll see you guys around. Thanks for showing up.